never meet your heroes? Well, I did. And it was awesome.
No, 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 no.
So, before I get started, I just want to clarify that I do not hate this game. I don't. I mean, I do a little bit, but it's complicated. We'll get into it.
Hey! Listen!
Now, I love superheroes, I love comics, I love the MCU, and I love video games. So in 2019 at E3, when Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics announced that they were making an Avengers game, I thought, that's amazing. I can't wait for this.
Do I have any true believers in the house? Yes! Awesome.
And then they played the trailer, which wasn't bad, but it also wasn't mind-blowing. And I thought, you know what? It's got a year. Let's let it happen. Let's see what happens. Fast forward to now, the game is out. Or at least it should be out when I make this video live. But I got a chance to play the beta a week or so ago, and I thought I'd give you my thoughts from that. So what do you actually get in the beta? Well, on the surface, it looks like you get quite a lot of stuff. You get a couple of story missions, you get, including A-Day, then you get a bunch of side missions in different locations, sort of. I'll get into that later. You can get stuck into the character progression, and the game even gives you some of its arbitrary currency so that you can buy some cosmetics for your characters, which I think is quite cool. Overall, I managed about 9-ish hours of gameplay during the beta. So, I'd like to start off by being nice, because there is a good game in here somewhere, just hidden very, very, very deep in there. And it's just all a bit messy, but we'll say nice things first. That opening mission on the bridge that we've all seen about 1,000,000 times, that is great. And that's why this game shines. It really shines in those big scripted set pieces. You know, the A-Day sequence makes you feel like you're actually taking part in an Avengers mission. During the beta, this is the only time you get to play as Thor, which personally I think is a great shame, because throwing Mjolnir around felt heavy and weighty and impactful, and it was just fun. I mean, I may not be super fond of the design, but the voice acting is fantastic. Travis Willingham does a great job. He's been Thor for pretty much any time they need him in comics or games or cartoons, stuff like that. And it is just a shame that you don't get to play as him as much, because you're whisked off onto another character. In terms of other characters I like playing as, Iron Man was fun. He certainly feels very clunky, but, you know, when he's good, he's really good. And you do feel like Iron Man. How I even got to do the cool hand laser things that he uses from Iron Man 2. As soon as I unlocked that, I just did that hundreds of times, because that is really cool. I was using them a bit too much. I know I mentioned it with Thor, but I think the voice acting is pretty good. I think maybe it's let down by a little bit of poor writing, and that's really comes forward in Miss Marvel, because the voice acting is really, really good, but some of the lines she's just given are awful.
Whoa. We did it. Tony Stark's super awesome computer pal.
And it's so repetitive. There's so little voice lines, especially when you're fighting, and it just made me not want to play as Miss Marvel, which was a shame, because she's kind of fun to play as. And then, for just a last little bit of what I liked, there's some cool collectibles in the game. As someone that does own quite a few old school comics, I did like the addition of be able to collect some old school comics, which, you know, that's kind of cool. I think the one shame with that is that there's no, like, inspect feature, so it just shows you the comic. You can't, like, look at it and stuff like that, which I think is disappointing, because if you're going to put those old school comics into the game, I think letting us have a look at it would be a really nice option. Okay, now on to the bulk of the video, the bad stuff.
Awesome.
Now I want to start with the performance of the game. I was running this on just a standard PS4, and I know this game is being developed for the next gen, but man, this game performed poorly. I mean, not just like a little bit bad, it really tanked. I was getting low frame rates at any time I had like 3 or 4 enemies on the screen, which is annoying because I'm supposed to be the Avengers taking on hundreds of enemies. And that's quite hard to do when you're running 10 frames a second. It's so frustrating. I had a lot of issues with the game freezing or just being incredibly slow. I mean, you can, again, put this down to being the end of a generation of consoles, but if you look back to the PlayStation 3, we had The Last of Us and GTA 5 coming out at the end of that generation, so I can't really use that as an excuse for the game. Now, although I did like Thor and Iron Man, most of the characters just feel really loose and clunky, and that you don't have control over them. And a lot of the time it just feels like you're kind of running through mud. That brief bit where you play as Captain America at the beginning feels way worse than Captain America Super Soldier, a game that came out almost 10 years ago. The problem is here, the controls should feel tight and snappy. You're playing as Earth's mightiest heroes, and in the end you just feel clumsy. And the sad thing is, they've got Spider-Man coming, and I guarantee it'll feel nowhere as good as PS4's Spider-Man. And that leads me on to one of the things that I really don't like about this game, and that's focus. I feel like this game is trying to do too much, and it fails at 90% of it. It doesn't know if it wants to be a focused single-player story, or an RPG-style multiplayer game. And I think trying to spread the genres means they've really nailed neither of them. If you're expecting a great single-player experience with a great story, yes, you might get some of that, but you're going to get bogged down by all the loot and gear management that you have to go through in the game. Which for some people is great, but if you just wanted to play an Avengers story, you have to go through so much of this management because it's so vital to the game to be able to beat the higher enemies. And that's frustrating because, again, it just shows that the game doesn't really know what it is. I've heard that the early reviews of the game say the story is far more in depth than we're all giving it credit for, which, you know, is great, but you've got these meaningless, grindy side missions that you have to do for loot and gear, again, because you have to do them. Honestly, the side missions, or Warzone missions I think they're called, great name there, are so boring and mind-numbingly grindy. They all take place in AIM facilities, or at least they did in the beta, which for the most part are exactly the same. They're all really tight corridors that lead to a slightly bigger room at the end where you do a fight against some bad guys or finish an objective. It's extremely restricted to put you in tight corridors and then a tiny room when you have a literal character that can fly. It just makes no sense to me that you would have Iron Man and the Hulk who can jump super high and Iron Man can fly, that you would trap them in such tiny little corridors that all look the same. It's just boring, and this game should not be boring. It should be fun. This isn't some drab, generic FPS game. This is a game where you get to play as the Avengers. It should be fun, and it's just not. So aside from the fact that it's generally quite boring and performs like absolute trash, something else I want to talk about is the live service aspect of the game. In all honesty, this game is a cash grab. The early reviews of the game are saying that there are 9 different currencies. Editor Gavin here. I made a little bit of a mistake here. There are not 9 different currencies in the game. I got them confused with the crafting materials. There are 2 different currencies in the game. There is still a lot of microtransactions. We still shouldn't be okay with this, but feel sorry about making a mistake here. We all make mistakes. I should probably do some more research before these videos, but, you know, that would make them good videos. Anyway, just take what I say next with a pinch of salt, because some of it is wrong, but most of it is completely right, so here you go. In the game. Let me reiterate that. There are 9 separate currencies, which obviously can all be surpassed with real money. And that's insane. Yes, they've promised that all the post-launch characters are going to be free, but you completely undo that hard work and all that love that we give to you for giving us free content by ramming the game with so many opportunities to just pay your way through it.
And to make sure everyone comes on this journey with us, we're incredibly thrilled to announce that every new superhero and every new region will be delivered at no additional cost. Oh yeah.
So our promise to the community is that we won't have random loot boxes or pay-to-win scenarios.
And I know they'll make the argument that, oh, it's only cosmetics, you can only buy cosmetics, but when you've got 9 separate currencies that I can pay for with real money, you're just taking the piss at that point. It gets worse as well. So modern day games have sort of accepted this battle pass system, which, do you know what, I don't actually mind. I think having a paid version and a free version, you know, it means that you can still unlock things, but it gives you a chance to put some money into it, but not too much. I kind of get that. This game has a battle pass system for every single character. Every single character has a battle pass system. I think that is absolutely insane. So you want a cool Black Widow skin? Cool, you've got to unlock 10 levels of the battle pass first before you can unlock it. Or, guess what? You can put real money into it and just have it straight away. It's insane, the level of monetization. Genuinely, the level of monetization in this game is akin to some sort of like free-to-play game. In fact, the incessant amount of looting and grinding that you have to do, the incredible amount of money that you can put into the game, this game feels like a free-to-play game. And that is incredibly frustrating. It's so frustrating. It shouldn't be that. So I think I'll stop rambling about the negatives and just dagging on this game all day because it's exhausting. But it just frustrates me because this game could have been so incredibly good. It could have been so good, but they've just taken a big swing and missed completely. I'm glad I played the beta because it's just proven to me that I'm not going to buy the full game. I don't want to put money into encouraging games to come out like this, broken and full of microtransactions. I genuinely thought we were pushing a little bit forward with games, but this is just 10 years stepped back. It's kind of sickening. What could have been? Anyway, go play something good. Save your money on this trash. Look, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is coming out soon, or it should be out now. Go get that. That's great. Get it. It's amazing. I mean, the only chance that I'm ever going to play this game in full is if I get it for free and I'll review it for the channel, but even then, that would be a slog. Anyway, that'll do it for the video. If you enjoyed my rant, consider subscribing or dropping a like. It all helps. I've got some fun videos planned for the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned. Until next time.
Thank you, true believers.
The Avengers were everything I imagined.
Hello, San Francisco!
They've got cars all